Hello and welcome to another MTD podcast on the road with MTD CNC. This is the programme that's broadcast at 6 p.m. every Friday evening, where we cover all of the week's activities, talk about the highlights, the technologies that we've seen and where we have travelled to. Just a couple of hours time now, kick off to the big game. So I know you'll probably be looking forward to that one. England versus Scotland will be, as soon as this podcast is finished, we'll be off to the pub, as I'm sure you probably will be too. Today I'm joined by Colin and Chloe for this show, who are going to be with you for the next 40 minutes. And this week we've travelled the length and breadth of the country, all the way to Ilfracombe, would you believe, down on the sort of southwest coast. We shot over 40 videos, yes, no less than 40 compelling stories from up and down the land, which we'll discuss in the up and coming half an hour or so. Also on the show, the latest news from MTD, the latest news from the industry that's broken this week, details of a couple of live events as well that we have just around the corner, and no doubt a few funnies along the way. Good afternoon, Colin, how are you doing?
I'm struggling with that. You said a few funnies. I'm assuming that's not relating to you, Paul.
It will be all coming from me, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Who are you supporting, by the way?
I've got my tartan underpants on. So
oh my good God! No one needs. Again, thank God this is only a podcast, not video. And you're saying about going down a pub later. I'm having a beer now, mate. It's starting already.
Only 2 hours time. Are we going to win?
What a ridiculous question. Hopefully, I've got my 50p bet on it as usual.
Well, Chloe, you're a big football fan as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
She's got one down in front of her top.
It'll be a bit embarrassing, won't it, if we lose? Not that Scotland.
Did you watch the Croatia game?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It was quite tedious, wasn't it, until the second half? But I've got Wales in the sweepstake, so they won. Was it yesterday? Did they play yesterday? They won yesterday, so hopefully Gareth Bale pulls his socks up and does well. But I'm really looking forward to it. I can't have a drink, sadly, but
we'll have yours, don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually got the opportunity to get, because of our good friend Gio, 4 tickets to a game, which is a week on Saturday, which is the game round of 16.
How has he got them?
From someone that he knows that can't go because they've got a wedding. So it's 4 tickets.
Let's hope the wedding's not cancelled.
But the problem is that, well, I say it's a problem. It'll either be Italy or it'll either be Wales that'll be playing, and they'll either be playing Holland and one other. I can't remember which it is. So.
Nice.
At Wembley, I'm assuming.
I believe it is at Wembley, yeah. So there is an opportunity there.
Nice.
If people are interested, because Gio can't go, or no, Gio wants to go if it's Italy, but if it's not Italy, because it depends on whether Wales beat Italy or something.
It's just so you basically got tickets to watch a football match.
Tickets,
Come on, England.
So also in the news this week, before we start talking about where we've been, some great news. The A&B show, which is a really popular event which happens in Stuttgart in Germany, has now been scheduled for 2022. The dates have been confirmed to the 13th and 17th of September. Have you been to that one, Colin? Did you come to that one with us?
Sure, I've been. Yeah, email and A&B. Been to all, mate.
Have you been to A&B, Chloe?
No, I've only ever been to Mac.
Oh, yeah, really? Okay, well, it's a really brilliant event. I think there's about 14 halls, but they're all very close together. Loads of technology from around the world. All the big names are there, so it's good to see that event is confirmed. We welcome Hella on board to the MTD CNC platform as well this week, which is good news.
Hello.
We'll be up in Redditch.
You missed that, didn't you?
I heard it.
Okay.
I'll be up in Redditch filming their technology up there, and it's always good to work with Hella. They've got some great machines, and of course they make them here in this country. Rolls-Royce created 300 jobs this week, which is good to hear for manufacturing, all to do with energy storage systems.
Batteries.
Energy storage systems, yes. Yeah. So basically this will it will enable the aircraft to undertake zero emission flights of over 100 miles on a single charge. More of that type of news you can see on the MTD MFG channel, or listen to the Great British Podcast, which comes out every Thursday. So, guys, let's start with Monday, because you two have been spending... This isn't the only time you've been together this week,
I spent too long with Colin. My head's frazzled.
How was it, Chloe? You were down south, weren't you?
It was beautiful, wasn't it, Colin? It was lovely weather, really hot.
Walk me through Monday.
How many hours was it? We travelled for about 7 hours we were driving in the van for.
That was just on day one, Monday, yeah. We went to first stop, miniature manufacturing.
Fabulous.
Not a small machine shop. They started out making parts for remote control cars and have progressed since then, and they've got 6 Haas machines off the top of my head. But we went there. Okay, 5.
Sorry.
But that's right. And we went there for PSL Data Track because he said, I want to take my company to the next level. How am I going to do that? I need to have some systems in place. PSL Data Track, it was a way forward. Like quoting, it's a regular story. I used to, just made a figure up pretty much, how to think about it. And it's made me realise I was actually probably making losses on some of my jobs.
What's the industry down there? I mean, it's a long way, isn't it? I mean, I know hauliers are available to ship parts around the country, but is it not a disadvantage to be located
No,
down
not at all.
south?
In fact, one of the other places we went to, we'll come to that in a minute, we'll give you a good example of why that is not really relevant, pertinent. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Interesting. I saw it was called miniature machining. I thought, are they making lots of geos?
Miniature manufacturing.
I actually thought that, but they were making loads of stuff. He was obviously started out with remote control stuff, and he's actually making also. He's got a 5-axis table on one of his machines, and he's making. You know when you pull a boat in to dock.
Harbour.
Yeah, and the thing on the floor where you tie it up, he's making them out of aluminium, and it's just he's able to. You think
they look a bit like an anvil.
Yeah, but he was in the process of doing it, wasn't it? I think it was 60 hours of machining.
Yep.
But he's able. He wants to get out there.
Why wouldn't you cast one of those? Why would you machine something like that?
Don't say that because you'll lose the business. I don't know.
Because it's made out of a whole billet, isn't it?
Was it going on the side of the dock or was it going on the boat?
I'm not too sure. Probably on the boat rather than the dock. But I didn't really ask him that question. I don't know about it. But 60 hours of machining, and he's able to just plonk it on. He's made a mould so that it can turn round and then do the other side. But
is there much tolerance needed for it?
I don't think so. But the other stuff that he's doing,
off.
the other stuff that he's doing, like little miniature things. He was actually looking. He's looking to invest in more machines.
I think they're wheel locks or something for remote control cars, but they had thousands and thousands of different little products.
Well, because when I said he's making lots of geos, that's what I thought. But did you know, on that note, little geos, that short guys live longer than tall guys?
Why is that?
I don't know. They actually live on average 2 years longer than a tall guy. So,
okay, what about tall guys? Which country has the tallest average person?
China.
Poland.
It is, in fact, I think the average height of these people is 6 foot, and it is
Sweden.
Drum roll, Netherlands.
Is that true?
Yep, absolutely.
My fella's 6'4".
Is he?
He's quite tall, yeah.
Well, that would mean then, so their life expectancy must be less than, say, China, because shorter people in China compared to taller people in the Netherlands.
Potentially,
You never know.
yeah.
Things you learn on this show. Okay, so that was Monday then for you guys.
No, we haven't finished there.
Okay, carry on.
We went straight from there. Traffic was horrendous, I hasten to add. It was a long old journey, but we then went to Milton at CNC. Now, if I said to you Herco, you'd say, fantastic. The machine's there. He's got 2 VM20Is, a TM8 and a TM6. Some of the stuff he makes, and he just loves these Herco machines. They've got the controls, and he does it all on the machine. Well, he does it offline as well with. But he said it's easy to manipulate on the screen at the control.
They've got the control panel, haven't they? And then they've got a touch screen next to it where we actually film some stuff. So look out for that. And as a programmer, it's fantastic to have that screen there that you can manipulate. It's touch screen, do all the things, and then because you don't have to then transfer it from the computer, it's all there. Well, you're just going to transfer it.
Have you ever, with your experience of Heidenhain and Siemens and Fanuc and all the rest of it, have you ever looked or tried to program a Herco? Have you ever? You've not seen? Okay.
No.
I'd
like to have a go.
Yeah, I mean they are very, very intuitive.
Yeah, but
very intelligent.
Kevin would let her near.
Right. He looked at me and went, "No."
They're brilliant. One of the parts he makes it looked like a solid sort of sleeve collar, and it was made from solid billet, but actually pulled apart into 4 pieces. You need to see the pictures on this, but it was amazing how he made it out of this solid billet. And
what was it?
It was a sleeve, so you run water through it.
Sleeve,
coolant sleeve.
Okay, where are they based as well?
They are based in Poole.
Yes.
Because we saw my next new boat, actually.
Yes, it was right on a place where they make these yachts. Oh, my
Sunseeker,
God.
I think they were. Absolutely.
Colin sent his drone up, so...
So that will be on the video then.
It will be on.
We look forward to that. I mean, there's a lot of industry in Poole. There's a lot of industry.
28 degrees it was, just remember, and we would... Oh, it was lovely.
It was flipping hot.
Really nice.
So where did you go from there then?
We went to Ilfracombe.
Drove 3.5 hours then to Ilfracombe.
Yeah, had fish and chips on the beach. Lovely.
And this was Monday evening.
This was Monday evening.
Preparation for Tuesday.
Yeah, the next 2 places on Tuesday were only 10 minutes away. So it meant we were there ready, but it was just,
I mean, that is it really is the sort of bottom left-hand corner, isn't it, of the country?
Gorgeous.
You're talking, it's not far from Land's End and Newquay and all the rest of it.
Oh, it's even further. Well, Newquay and Land's End are further than that by about another 2 hours, I think. So, but it's still a long journey, like 4-hour journey back. But anyway,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
So what was in Ilfracombe?
First stop was Witten Engineering, and are they Barnstable or Ilfracombe? Because I know Hayley...
Barnstable.
Yeah, sorry, because
they are Barnstable, and then the next one was only 10 minutes on the
yeah.
road. But she did comment saying it is Barnstable.
Okay, they've got a fantastic machine shop. I would say that they've got 20 plus machines, 12 citizens.
Yeah.
Latest one a D25, and so it's got all your full simultaneous B-axis, twin spindle, the LFE as you'd expect. But it's all about bringing down our cycle times, just because the new technology really is 20%, 30% reduction in cycle times, and they're doing batch runs of 300,000. So,
yeah.
But also they have a long relationship with Citizen. In fact, they've still got their first one running strong, an L20 from 1995. All right, it's not as fast, but it's still hard on tolerances and still doing jobs all day, every day for
So
them.
I was born in 1994, so that just shows you.
Right. So what were they making? What were these parts? That
Automotive. I mean, that's come off a bit, but it's coming back up again now. Loads of parts.
They weren't making hundreds of parts, not thousands of parts, but hundreds of thousands of parts. And these citizens, what?
That was my line.
Yeah, well, beat you to it, didn't I? But these citizens are just running, and all you could hear was clink, 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 and these parts just dropping. And it was just great. They probably had, one thing I learned as well, I told Colin, was how they've utilised like one person to 3 citizens. So you don't need one person on the machine each time. And they had all the tool lists on there, the program lists
running
on there.
lights out.
Yeah, are they? I think they've got the ability to. If they
don't really need to at the moment. Another thing though is they've got some really old machines. They've got some old. We saw them at Pattern Fasteners ages ago, but thread rollers. They make these screws. We can't say what company it's for, but it's cold formed in one machine, then thread rolled in 3 or 4 other machines, and then they mill the screw bit in the top. They're making millions a month of these, and it's old 1965.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Just chuck it away.
Well, tell me about this logistic thing then, because this down that
logistics. Okay,
far away.
So Witten actually started as, I think it was Wembley Engineering, or in Wembley in 1953. So London, you think, yeah, that's right. Good for logistics wise and things like that. They then, as part of a push and grants and things like that in 1970, were offered funding and grants to move to different areas, whether it was North Wales or Scotland, or Barnstable.
Which one would you go for?
Well, I hate seagulls now after that trip, but I think, Barnstable is beautiful down there.
Gorgeous place.
So, they made a decision in 1970 and haven't looked back. And there are loads of engineering companies down there.
Wasn't that the same place that Lindsay's wedding was?
Yes, Ilfracombe was. She messaged me.
I thought I recognised that. Say no more, Paul. Just move on swiftly.
I'm surprised you did recognise it. So did that complete your 2-day road trip?
No, we don't.
So you had another job.
We job there. We revisited actually Howard from Sheldon Engineering, because we saw him about 2 years ago, and we were talking about his new Citizen L32, which is still going strong. He's now got 6 machines, and including a CMZ fixed head machine, which is brilliant. He's doing some great work on that. Can't show the components, unfortunately. But it's about PSL day track. He had his status board, things like that, which wasn't working. The reason it wasn't working, nothing to do with PSL day track, is because he's expanding. He's having to move his offices, so he had to turn it off the day we were there. But the point is, modular system, loves it. It was the first thing he bought when he started the company. But now he's expanding and getting a production manager. So not only has he got the data, the status board, he wants a scheduler and things like that. So the new production manager can come in and be super.
And what was he making? Is he a subcontract engineer?
Sliding turn parts. So he's got his first CMZ machine, but he's got 5 citizens.
Yeah.
But some of the parts he's got, the showcase thing.
I did take loads of pictures. He's got like a little cabinet with all his parts in, and some are probably about this. I'll show the camera this big, but then some are about this big, minuscule. And the fact that he has a range of parts, and he's like, "Yep, I can do that. Yep, I can do that." Just shows you how good he can utilise the machines. Yeah,
that pin. I can't remember what dimensions that pin he was making, but it's 4 mil bar, and it's turned down to about 2 mil. Nailed one end, threaded the other end. It's brilliant.
So Chloe, then 2 days with Colin.
Never again, please.
Never again, right?
Not in the same car, anyway.
That wasn't written into your contract.
He has really bad road rage.
I do not have road rage.
You do.
We had nice ice cream at the end, though. The cafe.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember the cafe's
name. It fell down
name.
me, though.
Yeah.
It was melting that much that it kept falling down, because we were filming like the ending. We were right on wasn't a harbour, was it? It was like
arena.
Yeah, and people were living on these boats, like they had all their washing out on the line. Anyway, the lady, I can't remember what the calf was called.
I can't, but we're gonna give them
We'll give a shout out.
Yeah.
She come out with 3 magnums for us all, so we were doing it. And obviously we were filming, so we went wrong, and the chocolate was falling on, and it was just like, oh my God, it was so hot. We were just done for the day, just done. Well, we left at 2:30, and I didn't get back till 10:08. So long old slog.
Some journey, spending all that time with Colin as
I
well.
know.
You had your AirPods on.
Could not have been easy. Because also on Tuesday, we're very focused on the west side of the country because Mark was at an automotive company, Xander.
Is that how it's pronounced? Xander.
Well,
I pronounce it Xander.
Okay, maybe it's Xander. Yeah, Xander Automotive in Wales, where they've just recently bought a Makino U6 Heat EDM. They're working in the automotive sector. These Makino, when you think of Makino, you really do think of high precision, machines that last many, many years. They don't suffer with thermal growth. You get parts for precision industry off these machines day in, day out on the milling side. But the EDM, they've drafted this technology into the EDM.
You say EDM, what type? Because 3 types. I'm going to put you under pressure now.
I'm not entirely sure what machine it was.
I think it was. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's a wire. Yeah, of course it was. It's a wire
wire
cutter actually,
Wire
because
EDM,
it's 2 to 3 times faster cutting than most wire machines with the 0.4 wire. Now they use a power booster to give more ampage to the wire, which can achieve better surface finishes as well. These are all reasons why this company bought these.
It's also about the controls as well. Software and the controls make it a lot simpler to use.
But with EDM, if you're making like fir trees on blisks and stuff like that, but getting the speed of it and the surface finish so critical. So
you've got to get them all lined up to be able to get the correct surface finish, like you said, and get the
Mark's done a few actually of these Makinos that have gone out there from NCMT. So yeah, we were focused on the like I say, on the west side of the country. Well, I'm glad you both got back safely, and you needed to get back, Chloe, because on Wednesday we were at the Myra Technical Institute for an event which, fair play to Gio, he put this whole thing together, a collaboration between Zeiss, Williams and MTD CNC. We had 36 or between 36 and 40 students in the room.
With masks on.
With masks on, all listening to Al from
what a speech.
Williams. Now, this guy, what he spoke about, I learned so much about Williams as a business that day, and Formula One cars and how it all, the lengths that they go to make these cars quicker, more efficient, but also ultimately very, very safe.
Are you a fan of Formula One? I know you Formula One.
No, I'm not a massive fan of Formula One, but what I was really taken by is that I was listening to. I do obviously love engineering and machining, and looking at some of the parts they make and how they make them, and some of the reasons that they go through so many reiterations of parts just to shave, milliseconds off of a lap. It's all about getting the car to be aerodynamic and all the things that they go through to do. Anyway, these students were just completely engaged.
In awe, weren't they?
Yeah. But not just in Al, obviously in Zeiss as well, listening to how important the metrology is to Williams when they're making these parts, inspecting them quickly, getting them to the racetrack. What happens if the logistics of moving parts around the world when they need to be made quickly and accurately and measured.
Because they've still got schedules, haven't they? I was saying they've still got schedules on the Monday, which they have to do. But obviously the race is Sunday to Sunday, isn't it? If they've got a problem, they've still got that schedule in the machine shop, but they need this part now. They need it flown out. They need to put it on the car. They need it test track. They need it then. So they have to reschedule around it. And what I didn't realise is, I know I've told you about it hundreds of times, this Formula One documentary on Netflix, which Al is actually in the 3rd series. You just see him walk out in the COVID bit where they all get sent home from Melbourne. They have to leave, obviously, to get their flight home. With the Formula One car, obviously, they have the front panel, don't they? And if you look at it flat on, the tyres are basically like this. So what you have to do is you have to make something aerodynamic to go over to the tyres. And you don't even think of things like that. And if you do watch the Formula One programme, I didn't really like F1, but I just watched the last 3 laps and that's who won. It is a really big fly on the wall, and Al really, really, really documented it well.
He did. And again, these are things I just picked up, but he was talking about the deceleration of these cars when they hit a corner, when they get to a corner. Do you know how much G-force is on the driver as they decelerate?
10 Gs.
Okay, do you know, I can't
It was like having a crash. It was like having a crash at 30 mile an hour when they brake.
It
so they go around a corner. And
So
every time they do
corner.
it.
Well, what about, did you see last season that bloke had a crash and the car broke and it exploded? And
If it wasn't for the halo, he would have been. He would have died.
That was amazing.
But everything that they make in Formula One, if it's to do with safety, they pool it. So every race team, if it's to do with safety, it all goes into the middle, and everyone.
The FIA have agreed it, haven't they? Anything to do with safety, like the halo. I think he said it's going to be standard on every single F1 car. They can obviously everything else has got to be different because it's got to have NDAs on it. It's got to be to that company. But anything health and safety wise is going to be spread across the F1, so everybody has the availability to have it.
If it's performance, you keep it to yourself. You keep your secrets, and you make the car as fast as you can. But the collaboration was really, really super.
Can I ask a question? Did he mention about the tyres? Because there was a big problem with the tyres in the last race.
He wasn't. No, he didn't really talk about the bad things that happened, did he? He just spoke about the efficiency of the parts, how some stuff is made out of aluminium, yet some stuff is made out of carbon fibre. And you could see these young adults just in awe. And even Matt from Zeiss talking about the measurements and how critical it is. And I didn't even realise they were doing CT scans on parts. Like, how crazy is that? They're doing medical stuff on F1 parts. And these young adults were just looking at it.
Well, the thing is, with this CT scanning, basically what happens is you put it into the machine, and of course it just then, shows you all the internals of this part and whether there's any areas that might be porous or. Now, I remember when I used to work on a machine, machining a cast iron flywheel, you'd get 5 hours into the operation, and then there would be a massive cavity in the casting. It's scrapped.
You can't do anything with it, can you?
You can't do anything with it. So
but this X-ray thing...
Was that because you scrapped it, Paul, or is it...
No, just
and you'd just see it fly off, wouldn't you? And then there'd just be a big hole. It'd be like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But you can't do anything. If you look at it with your eyes, you think nothing's wrong with it. But the amount of technology that now, obviously, Williams have now partnered up with them, with Zeiss, and Matt, what's the Master of Metrology, Triple M we call him.
That's what
he is just. He's the amount of knowledge that bloke has got was just incredible.
But part of the event was, and we're going to be doing a lot of these going into the new academic year in September. Part of the event was to talk to the students about why they should be involved in engineering, what's good about it, our experiences. So we had to talk about, when we did our apprenticeships. In fact,
the bloopers was the best bit.
Yeah, we'd armed Lindsay with some things about what we'd done when we were on the shop floor, but we didn't even get to talk about those, did we? Because we were just talking about why they should be involved, how exciting the industry is. It's not a dirty, greasy industry anymore. It's it's about precision parts, Formula One cars, aircraft. It's it's really good. And
is there anybody really like the apprentices? Anybody really stood out and said something you thought, wow, that's
that what did happen, which I wasn't expecting, is they all asked questions.
Yeah, when you just expect everyone to just be like, oh no, hands went up and people were really involved in it, which was great.
Said to Never Lindsay, happens, does it?
No, we said to Lindsay at the end, what you need to do is just say, look, if there's any questions now, you can ask them now, or you can ask them at the back of the room, so people don't feel pressure in asking questions.
It was being recorded and stuff, so.
But she said, any questions? And then there was like, and it went on. In fact, in the end, Joff was at the back going, wind it up. You've got to cut it off. So I know
that says volumes of fact that they all got engaged.
I don't think anybody thought. Obviously, we knew it was going to be a great day. It was great exposure for MTD Zeiss and Williams and Myra as well, the MTI. But I don't think I went home and just had a smile on my face all day.
Yeah, they didn't. The students didn't
like after our road trip. You went home with a smile on your face.
I thought the students would get up and leave straight at the end. They didn't. They got up.
Stayed around, didn't they?
They all stayed. They wanted to talk to Al. They wanted to talk to us. I mentioned to you earlier about the digital CVs. They wanted to upload them to the MTD network. They were really encouraged to get involved in engineering.
Can I just point out as well? Al did a podcast with Gio, didn't he? So just pointing that out. If you want to listen to that, look out for it.
That will be out in a couple of weeks' time. So that was on Wednesday. The videos to those events will be out next week as well. On Thursday, we were myself and Gio. Actually, I was with Gio again. 2 days with Gio this week.
How was that?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. We had lunch, in fact, yesterday as well. I was at Interco with him yesterday.
Love that place.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Les is such a gentleman.
Oh, he's a lovely bloke.
A nice.
It's right on the airfield as well, isn't it?
Because they've got the new site now, is that correct?
Yes. Well, they've got new facility on the existing site, but I think to describe Les, he's a gentleman. He's got a great business. He's got a great attitude towards business.
Great work ethic as well. His employers are just great to work with, and you can tell that he looks after them really, really well.
Yeah, and as a sponsor of what we do here, he's very. He wants to work with us, you know, and how often does that sometimes
but
not
people
happen?
who don't know, sorry, taking a step back, Interco, people who I'm sure they do know, but
Specialist Steels and Alloys,
okay.
A supplier of, and they hold a lot of stock there. Of course, there's quite a few issues with materials stock at the moment, quite a few issues with stock across the world with everything. Yeah. But Interco do carry a lot of stock. They forward planned, so they're now finding that they're getting new customers, not just as a result of them being a good business, but because people are having to go to them for steels.
And super efficient, because we've got a new, let me get this right, material management system, I understand as well.
Well, we were talking about material management, and this where you've been talking about PSL data track a lot, which obviously I understand it's a great platform to be able to manage certain things in your business. But what we were talking about was, do people manage their material supply? So,
that's a big question.
What happens when you talk about making sure that your machine shop's efficient, your quoting systems, you know the pricing, you know when a cutting tool's worn, it reorders it from the cutting tool supplier. Yep. All of that happens intrinsically in these software systems that we talk about. But do any of them take into account when you're running low on material?
I've never heard.
Yes,
like
absolutely, 100%.
They do.
And
really?
in fact, we've just done the video with, was it Caffeine or was it? I'm just apologies. I can't. My brain is failing me here. But absolutely, materials and no, we did a technical corner with Jeff, and basically, you put your material, obviously details your material. It will tell you, have you got it in stock? Do you need to order it? Is there enough? And it controls it, so you're not tying it all up, having hundreds and thousands of pounds worth of stock there. So it controls it for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, but what happens if that control isn't controlling the stockist? So, for example, it might say, right, I want to keep minimum stock of steel because I don't want to buy it until I need it. Yep. But what happens when you keep that minimum stock and then you go to order it and the supplier's got no steel?
Well, it's a lead time of 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Then it breaks down. So what we're talking about here is the communication between the stockist and the end user. Where is that link? Because at the moment, what will be happening is people will be becoming as efficient as they can at machining, reducing cycle times, getting parts off of the machines as fast as possible, and then suddenly they go, we need to order some more steel for next week. They pick up the phone and they go, do you know what? We can get you some in 6 weeks.
Maybe Les should be speaking to PSL then.
Potentially. Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing for Les, and I 100% get it, because he'll be taking calls from people and they'll say, I mean, we spoke about Conrad Nurk, who to us he's a great MTD fan. He's a brilliant machinist. He's got a great machine shop there in Bristol, but he's frequently having to travel up and down the M5 to material suppliers to get bits he needs. And is there a way to make this
more efficient?
More efficient. So it's a possibility. So we were at Interco yesterday. Walter Tools were also here in the studio talking about bi-directional.
Is that Joe's doing
turning. That? Yeah, some
bi-directional
copy turning. So bi-directional turning. Have you had experience in this, Chloe? When we did a live at the Engineering Technology Group on their Vulcan Turning Centre, we did
was it with WNT?
That was with it was about the Hypermill software.
Doesn't matter
because the Hypermill software
was able to turn them back turn in the same. Yeah, it's quite a new technology to come out, but it's fantastic to be more efficient and for like the software, the machine tool, and the tools to work together to be able to do that. It must cut your cycle time down by quite a bit.
You're basically turning in both directions, so you're going and you're turning up. And you're coming back, so you're not going.
Normally,
you're not turning,
lift
coming
up,
out
like that.
Doing that. Now, if you do that in the old-fashioned way,
your insert
will wear quicker.
Okay.
This way, you can use both sides of the insert because you're not using all that lag time to go back to the start.
Reducing the air time.
Reducing cycle time as well, because you're going to lift off the part probably by 1 mil, then come straight back instead of going one. Yeah.
So that was Walter. They also were talking about their Tiger Tech Gold coating, which within industry is known for its quality and lasting. Obviously, the test of time when machining. Lindsay was at A&M yesterday.
A&M
in up in Hales Owen, right next to the West Brom ground. If you've ever, have you been there before, Chloe? Haven't you?
For about
Well, the West Brom ground.
No, A&M.
What
about
happened?
10 minutes.
What happened when you went there?
I decided to turn into industrial estate, and someone went into the side of me and wrote the car off that you gave me 3 weeks prior.
Oh. And how long ago was that? That was March.
That was March, and then I think I'd found out 2 days prior that I was pregnant, so it was like, oh my God.
You were okay though.
Yeah, I was fine. Baby was fine.
And it wasn't your fault. That was a classic case of, what do they call it? Smash for cash?
Yeah, crash for cash.
Well, they're still trying.
So I'm not going to go into it, but the insurance claim is still ongoing. So you can tell that it's not just but it wrote the car off, didn't it, Paul? The car was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, anyway, A&M,
the main thing was you were right. But A&M EDM, they're making, Gary there invited us in, and we've been in on a couple of occasions. They've got, and you need to see the videos on these, which will be coming out. We've done some before, but these ones will be coming out, about the development of a new engine block that he's creating. I don't know masses of detail about it because I've not actually been there. Lindsay's been covering this story, but what I can tell you is the previous video we did about it, it really did turn heads and
the machine shop is fantastic. The Hercos they've got in there, the stuff. It's engine castings and stuff, and it's 5-axis machining. They're able to bore, I don't know, about this amount, like 300 mil all the way down, and it's just the technology they've got on there is fantastic. Yeah,
I mean, I've got to say, A&M, Mark there, brilliant guy, done really well in that business and some great videos.
What are they using? Because surely if they're machining it, doing the boring 5-axis machining.
I mean, they're essentially a subcontract machinist as well. So this was a development that Gary within the company has with Mark's blessing, I believe, and if I'm wrong, I apologise, but I believe he's been able to create and craft this engine at the company in order to improve performance on in a particular car they've got.
Right, but what are they using EDM for on the engine block though? Is it on the engine block?
They wouldn't be using that on the engine
block.
Right,
okay.
That's the EDM is. I think they're one of the biggest Sodic users, either in the country or the world. I'm not sure. It's a hell of a claim, but great business. And then, of course, today, we've been here at the studio today.
Hold on. We need to go back and welcome someone back to Hoffman, don't we?
Oh, of course. Yes, of course we do. Yeah,
John Waskett.
Yeah.
He's been off. Yep. He's been dodging Geo. I don't think that's the only reason, but welcome back, I would suggest.
Yes, yeah.
Welcome back.
Poor John was ill for a little while, and he's now back, and Geo was with him on Monday doing some planning. We've got a lot of content to come out from Hoffman, actually. They've got a good story to tell. So, yeah.
And some events.
Yes, good to see that John's back. The event I wanted to specifically pick up on was the one we're going to be doing at the Engineering Technology Group on the 30th of June. Now, we're going to be streaming live ETG in conjunction with Bloom, where we're going to be looking at the measurement process in process. So basically what's going to happen is we believe, and I agree with the guys from Bloom and ETG, and I'm sure, Chloe, you've got an opinion on this, but people, when they're in a machine shop, they're not using in-process metrology or measurement in the way they should. So they'll machine a part, they'll go in and they'll check that part with either some, measuring device. They'll then shut the doors, change the offsets maybe to then.
So they take the component out, or still leave the component in the machine?
They'll probably leave the component in the machine, but they'll measure it and then they'll change the offsets in accordance with what they need to do as a finished cut or to correct the machine dimensions. And what they'll be doing is they'll be getting involved too much. Whereas what Bloom can do is the Quasar machine that will be there. We're going to essentially set the tool using their laser tool setter. Then we're going to machine the part, and then we're going to come in and probe the part. It's going to be incorrect because we're going to do that deliberately.
Because you programmed.
Yeah. And then we're going to go back in and remachine the part. And then we're going to then check it once again, and then it will be correct. And then we're going to check the surface finish using a Pro as well, yeah. And we're going to do all that in process. So basically, it's going to show engineers that door shut.
That door will not open.
It will.
That's another step in order.
It doesn't have to open. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be involved in these things.
And I don't think people realise. Sorry to cut you off there, Paul. I've been to Bloom, to Germany, seen their headquarters. Fantastic facility. And I was just using a probe and a tool setter to set your tools. And I wasn't even using the probe to measure any holes or any islands or anything like that, or slots or anything. I was using to put my billet on, find out where the datum points are. Okay, there's my datum shift, press play. It wasn't until I went to Germany and found out how much technology is in these probes that you can do. Like you said, you can shut the doors, let it go. you can create this part. If it's wrong, it can probe. You can set a probing cycle. The programmer doesn't even have to be on the machine. You can set it all up. If it's wrong, it will send signals back to the machine, say this is wrong, go back in with this, cut out at this part of the program, make it to this dimension, and do not stop the machine. Probe it again. Do not stop the machine until it is at this circumference. And how, instead of taking it off, CMM in it, putting it back on, you'll probably never get it back on the same place unless you've got a break or something like that. But the technology that they've got in these systems, and Blum are a huge advocate for that. Yep,
and it's also, do you set tools off the machine or on the machine? So this is showing you how to do everything, all in process. And it's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a great day.
Streamed on June the 30th live. So we're streaming live because we're going to encourage engineers to ask us questions, ask Dave questions about probing and ETGs. The machine's going to be cutting as well in anger, as we like to say. So coming up next week.
Gio's been out and about. You've forgotten him at Brown and Holmes.
Brown and Holmes, yeah. Brown and Holmes. Gio was at Brown and Holmes on Tuesday. We were really busy this week, but I'm going to have to get to the end of this now.
Sorry,
we need to wrap this one up. So
Gio's taking too long.
Gio's been at Brown and Holmes this week, and we all know
he's been there a few times because I've been there
Kevin
as well,
for their specialist fixtures and also their standard products too. Now, don't forget the Great British Podcast, which I mentioned at the start of this show, MTD MFG. That comes out every Thursday. If you're looking for the latest news in manufacturing, you can listen to that. There was a great show yesterday. The MTD Network Jobs Board. If you're a CNC machinist looking for work, here's an opportunity to get a digital CV on the network. Equally, if you're an employer looking to find engineers, you can do that on the jobs board as well. Don't forget to follow Tony from MTD CNC, who's on his travels around the world.
He'll have to be fast, mate, because he's flying around everywhere, isn't he?
Absolutely everywhere. Videos this week on Hermely, Starag, Methods Machine Tools, Regifix, and Martin's Trunnions.
Martin's Trunnions, how are they?
Martin's Trunnions, yeah, what a name. And guess what he's called, the guy that owns the company and runs the company?
Trunnion.
Released this week, 15 new videos, including indexable milling from Goering. All can be found on the MTD CNC website. The Courier Norma at Destech, ZCT, barrel milling, multiple origins module from Hypermill at CNF. That's a great video. I encourage you to watch that. Some developments in Hypermill software and CNF embracing it. The Small Med Centre from Kitamura at Dugard. Rim stock alloy wheels being made. Masterclass with their EDM machine. Connect 600 from Colchester. Huachon lathes, 2G tooling. And it has been our number one video this week from MSC. You can see that on the week in review. Colin, we've had a lot of success with the launch of that product, haven't we, from MSC?
It's a game changer. Hate to use that phrase, but it is just so simple, but it can reduce cycle times, increase MRR. Just have a look at the video. Matt pronounces correct. No, Kavana, he pronounced it, yes. Kavana, yeah. It's amazing and it's such a simple process. Basically, a tap test, 15 minutes done, and you can run your machines at levels you never thought were feasible. Yeah,
so that is number one on our watch list this week from MSC. Where we're going to be next week, I'm going to be really quick. Prima Power coming here to do some technical quarters on Monday. Myself and Joe are at GW Martin with Mazak on Tuesday, seeing colleague of yours and mine, Richard Blake. We're also at FT Gearing on Wednesday for Mazak 2. I'm at Haas filming some stock machines on Thursday. We're also at Cloud NC.
Going down to Dugard, do some sliding head.
At Dugard doing some sliding head machines. So I have one fact. I've got three, but I'm only going to give you one because I've got one to bring out in this show. And I want to know what you think of this. If you got in a car, turned on the ignition and drove up and went into space, and you drove at 60 mile an hour from here up into space, how long would it take you to get into space, do you think? Chloe, how long do you reckon?
Why you're asking me this? 3 hours.
Colin?
60. I wouldn't go 60 miles an hour. I'll go much faster than that. Into space.
60 mile an hour. When do you get into space if you go straight up?
I'm just going to... Can I do the maths?
Yeah.
We haven't got long.
You ain't got long.
40 hours.
1 hour.
What?
Oh, so I was closest.
Only
You
1
laughed.
hour. If you get in a car and drive straight up.
So 60 miles.
Yeah, I remember.
Let me do the maths. Hold on. 60 miles an hour.
There's no traffic lights.
Yeah, there's a couple of roundabouts.
No traffic lights, no old biddies,
I've got another fact. I've got one final fact. Can I throw this in
there?
here?
We're going to wrap this up.
I've got a fact.
The fact is, England are going to win tonight.
England are going to win tonight. Hour and 15 minutes till kick-off or just over. Enjoy the game. Come on, England. And join me again same time next week for On the Road with MTD CNC. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.